Hello. You are watching the Technology Magazine show, brought to you by Technology Magazine, AI Magazine, and BizClik Media Group. My name is Scott Birch, and together we bring you all the latest news, analysis, and opinions from the world of technology every 2 weeks. And you can catch this show on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and all kinds of digital channels. Joining me first today is technology editor Alex Tuck. Hello, Alex. How are you today?
Hi, Scott. Yeah, really well. The daffodils are out and spring's here. Lovely.
The daffodils are out. The flowers are blooming, even in BizClik HQ. It's a cornucopia of flora and fauna here today. And we're also joined by AI editor Catherine Gray. Catherine, how are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks, Scott. How are you?
Yeah, I'm all right, thanks. We've had a few technical issues, as Alex and Catherine know today, but that's all part of the joy and magic of bringing you a live show. So fingers crossed, everything goes to plan, and we'll see you at the other end of the show in about half an hour's time. But before then, we've got loads of stuff. But to remind you as well to come and say hello by posting in the comments section underneath the show. So if you're watching this live on LinkedIn or other social media platforms, you should have the ability to say hello. Tell us maybe what you're doing, where in the world you're viewing from today. And if you have any questions about the topics that we're covering, just give us a shout and we'll say hello and we'll try and answer any questions you might have. Talking of questions, Alex, we always ask our readers a question via LinkedIn with our poll. So what's the question we asked them this time around?
Today's question is, what is the main barrier to technology adoption in your company? And the four options were talent shortages, the right systems and procedures, enough time to train staff adequately, or not monitoring and maximizing the data.
Okay, so they are the options, as you can see from our ticker as well. They are the options that we've set for you this week. I believe that there's still time to go and vote in that poll, and we will be bringing you the results of that with your views later on towards the end of the show. And also, don't forget, we'll also be having a little bit of fun with tech that takes you back. I'm hoping that Catherine and Alex have risen to the challenge of presenting to me a piece of old and weird consumer technology from the past that we simply couldn't live without, and now we simply cannot forget, however desperately we try. Now, I haven't seen those. The score in this competition is 1-1 at the moment, so it's a draw, everything to play for, as they say. So we'll be interesting to see what you guys have picked out for us this week. But without further ado, let's have a rundown of the latest technology and AI news. All right, Alex, why don't you kick things off? What's your latest news from tech?
My story is about International Women's Day, which was, of course, on March 8th, coinciding with our recent launch of our March 8th publication as well. So across the publications, we decided to post various stories celebrating the stories of women at the top of various companies. And I found this stat quite interesting. The share of women as tech CEOs jumped from 3.9% in 2020 to 10.9% in 2021, according to CNBC, and that was in the US. But in the UK alone, despite its status as quite a cosmopolitan and diverse Western country, less than a third of women working in technology roles across the UK are female, with only 10% in tech leadership positions. So this creates quite a skewed image as to how to thrive and succeed in the world of innovation and technology. So I welcomed a number of women to comment on this figure and to give their thoughts on the ways forward, including Helen Kaliski, who is the new managing director of Google Cloud UK as well. So yeah, that was a good story to write.
Okay, and of course you can catch all of our stories, including this one, or including that one, now it's disappeared, on our websites. And those websites, again, are technologymagazine.com and aimagazine.com as well. And certainly the topic that Alex just mentioned there, I mean, that's something that we talked about quite a lot at our live events last year for for technology especially. And as you said, with the launch of March 8, which is another BizClik title, we held an event to launch that, and we had some really fascinating speakers involved in tech. Obviously they were stating the case for more women in STEM industries in general, but certainly in leadership positions in technology as well. Clearly a lot of work to be done, but from those figures that you mentioned there, hopefully there are some signs of progress. Okay, Catherine, turning to you next. You're going to share an AI story with us, I think. What have you got?
Yeah, so following a profile that we had in the Technology March issue with Yext, their specialists in online brand management, we wanted to have a kind of look into other players in the AI search field. So we've got companies like Shopify, OpenAI, AlphaSense, who are all kind of transforming search engines with the application of AI and ML. And it's just popped up there. So this is consumer behaviors changing. So people will now speak to Alexa or put an image of an item that they want to purchase. So now kind of companies are really using AI to kind of meet those demands. But it's not just consumer behavior. There's players in there that are looking at search in the legal sector. So it's just all about how different organizations are creating different solutions to personalized search experiences. So it's interesting to see how it's all changing. So that's why we kind of went with that top 10.
It is interesting because, of course, the way that you would search for something if you're using voice could be completely different to if you were using text to search. I mean, I'm not familiar with all of the latest research on this, but it clearly is very different because the way that you talk when you're looking for something is very different. And I know that there are certain search engines, for instance, I think it was Bing actually, which if memory serves, used to be Microsoft. I don't know if it still is. But Bing searches were quite prominent on search because they were embedded into certain devices. So some of the early smart speakers that had that search functionality, you'd get quite a lot of results on Bing, for instance. Anyway, I'm digressing here. I'm talking about search engines in general, but you get my point.
Just to add,
yeah.
Scott, I actually I tried to use a visual search the other day. My daughter has a little koala shaped green koala type thing, and I wondered where it was from because I didn't recognize it. Anyway, so I tried to put this into a visual search engine. I tried about 3 and it couldn't find it. So there's still some way to go, I think, before they perfect this stuff.
Yeah, that is interesting because I heard it was a media organization. It was an interview on the BBC actually, and they were talking about how they are verifying news stories at the moment. Obviously, with the situation in Ukraine happening at the moment, there's a lot of talk about fake news and how we can verify and what's the word? Well, just verify news, whether that's photos or if it's video. And they do a lot of reverse searching for images, but also for stills from footage as well, to show if, for instance, the footage might be from an old news report rather than one that's been done on the ground. And the way that they also mix that up with like Google Maps, for instance, information from that, or Google Earth, and by corresponding what might appear in a photograph or what might appear in a video, they're able to verify if it's correct or not. So yeah, lots of intermeshing, I suppose. But yeah, I'm surprised that the reverse search function didn't work, because I thought that was pretty good. But I have to admit, I've never actually done an image search. Catherine, you ever done an image search?
I've not. No, I don't think. I don't trust it. I don't think I searched kind of what it looks like rather than the picture itself.
Okay, well, if anyone can help Alex out by helping him with his green koala style animal or toy, if you can let him know, Alex, maybe if you get a chance, you could grab this toy at some stage or get a photo, and maybe our audience we can crowdsource the information. Because I want to know where this toy has come from now.
I'll set up a campaign, definitely.
Okay, excellent. Well, you heard it here first, folks. The search for the green koala's origins starts almost right here. Okay, remember, as I said, you can catch all of our stories on the websites Technology Magazine and AImagazine.com. And still to come after the break, we're going to be taking a closer look at some of the fantastic features we've got in the new March issue of Technology Magazine. And we're going to be looking ahead to Technology Live taking place in London later this year. We'll be right back after some highlights from the latest issue. So go put the kettle on or grab a glass of delicious water, and we'll see you in 5 minutes.
We strive to help customers order and receive anything they want as fast as possible. Hi, my name's Jeffrey Odom. I'm Senior Director of Sustainability, CSR, and Safety at Delivery Hero, the world's leading local delivery platform. We operate in about 50 markets in 4 regions of the world. Our core business remains food delivery, but we're also pioneering quick commerce, which is the next generation of e-commerce. One of our core values is that we are heroes because we care. We care about the environment, we care about our customers, our restaurant partners, and our stakeholders. And ultimately, we want to build a company that the next generation can be proud of. And I think for us, when we think about that, it's going beyond the boundaries of Delivery Hero and helping to drive sustainability within our ecosystem. We look at how we can leverage our technology assets and capabilities for being able to help us drive sustainability. We are looking to continue to roll out our sustainable packaging so that we can be able to address climate change and plastic waste.
This is a data center architecture that works anywhere in the world. I am the founder of Wyoming Hyperscale. I think all of my experience up until now really prepared me to do what I'm doing, which is working with my brother and now a whole team of engineers to create the first sustainable data center ecosystem. What we're doing is taking advantage of a 95% savings on the cooling side of the house and deleting the server fans. We basically end up with a power consumption profile that's 50% lower than an air-cooled data center, and it consumes no water. Then it's attached to a carbon negative indoor farming enterprise. We have a collection of engineers and partners working on this project. We ended up settling on a partnership with Submer. The main reasons we selected Submer were, number one, they have a bio-based single-phase immersion fluid, which is very safe. It's green, and their technology to me was the simplest. But what I learned from that experience is the simpler the idea is, the more likely that it's going to work and be able to scale.
Okay, welcome back. I really enjoyed that last video. Actually, I hadn't seen that one before, so that was good. New to me as well. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Welcome back. Still to come, we've got the results of our LinkedIn poll, and we've got more on the Technology Magazine's top 100 women list. This is a special supplement which we started last year, actually, and we're still debating and deliberating over, because it's such a difficult one when you're just trying to pick the top 100 women globally across technology. We're still fighting over who's going to take the top spot, but this will be with you probably in about a week's time, I would say, while it's still part of Women's History Month. But first, we're going to look at the present, and that is the March issue of Technology Magazine. I think we've got the front cover we can bring up here as well. There you go. And as you can see from the front cover, our cover stars were Qualtrics, an American experience management company. Now, Eric Vogel, global head of tech and telco, discusses why now is the time to modernize customer experience management. For a sneak peek into the content we can expect, here's a video from that interview.
Experience management is all about really improving and delivering world-class experiences. I'm Eric Vogel. I lead the tech, media, and telco practice for Qualtrics. Qualtrics is an experience management company. In fact, Qualtrics is the category creator for experience management. What we do is we have a full platform that really allows our customers to create and manage great experiences for their customers. We are seeing across every industry, and there's not an industry that is being left behind here, that experience management is critical. And this is becoming the new competitive battleground. And what's more important to think about is where experience management is headed. It used to be people would think about, well, we're just doing voice of the customer. That's experience management. That world has changed. And post-COVID, as we've come out of seeing all of these digital transformations, the future now is much more around real-time listening, generating real-time signals, really understanding the customer at a very personal level. Companies who don't do this, I'm afraid, are going to be left behind. But those companies that understand this and are building programs, deploying technology and making this work within their organizations are definitely leading. And this is probably the most important thing to remember is experience management is evolving. It's evolving to being able to personalize experiences for customers at scale. It's evolving to understanding the emotion of a customer, the intensity of that emotion, the sentiment of that customer, and importantly, taking actions real time to address that. And when you think about a B2C customer that is looking at thousands, tens of thousands, even millions of interactions a day, being able to do that at scale is paramount. And that's where the next generation of competitive advantage will be created.
So there you go. That was Eric Vogel of Qualtrics, the experience management company. Really fascinating, actually. Now, Alex, you wrote a great feature, actually. We should talk about that as well, regarding digital strategies in aviation and some big names involved in this feature as well.
Yes, absolutely. Just before I talk about that, on Qualtrics, I did write in my forward. I saw something that they posted on Twitter that I thought was really interesting. They said there'll be two types of employers in the future. The employers that listen to their employees, embrace change and adapt, and employers that keep working the same way. And I like the fact that it didn't say as to which one would produce a better outcome, but I think we probably both know which one would probably produce a better outcome. But yes, in regards to digital strategies in aviation, I spoke to Rolls-Royce, Lufthansa Technik, and Iceland Air about three different products that they run, because essentially the future is digital, and this is especially true for the maintenance and repair and overhaul of commercial aircraft. By 2025, more than 38,000 aircraft are forecasted to be in operation worldwide. And airlines face the challenge to enhance the availability of their fleets and avoid flight delays and cancellations to reduce the consequential costs. And as the latest aircraft types produce 50 times more data than the older generations, the resulting increase in data volumes leads to growing complexities in the business of MRO suppliers on the one side, but also there are chances to increase efficiency and safety on the other side. So essentially, with the Rolls-Royce element, they and I really enjoyed some of the visuals that we used as well from Rolls-Royce that make it look like a beautiful feature. That's very much about the maintenance of the engines and making them run as efficiently as possible. So I talk about their total care solution with Lufthansa. And that's about the Aviator product. And again, this is looking at analytics from almost every aspect of what a plane can do, and feeding into that customer experience, which we then talk about the UX element with Iceland Air as well. So digital's making a massive difference in terms of cost savings to these brands. So yeah, really interesting piece to write.
And does the feature go into the fact that obviously like the lifetime of an aircraft can be considerable? There's aircraft probably still flying, commercial aircraft flying, that could be 40 years old, because when you're introducing a new aircraft, the hoops that you have to jump through in terms of certification and getting it authorized are so significant that if there are any changes made to any of these aircraft, then they have to almost go through the entire process again, and pilot training and everything else. So I suppose it must be quite difficult to retrofit some of those older airplanes. But it'd be interesting to know like how much of this data is generated by the new generation of aircraft, I suppose, and how long it will take before the majority of those 38,000 aircraft are all capable of producing all of that data, so we can really make the most of it, and really analyze that. Did they talk about that at all in terms of like the number of new aircraft? Because obviously it's been a really tough time for the aviation industry as well.
Certainly I think it's almost comes as standard with the new aircraft. To be honest, in terms of aircraft that might be 20, 25 years old, I'm not sure. I imagine it's certainly more relative, I'm sure, to countries with a slightly smaller countries or smaller fleets. But I think the trickiest element to all of this is for this data to make sense and be legible, be sort of logical in one centralized view and all this kind of thing. And I think, there's probably quite a minefield when it comes to a data minefield when it comes to looking at older forms of data. I'm sure that those brands will be very much focused on selling new shiny planes, but absolutely, I'm sure there's a massive market for getting the most out of what people already have. So, but it's a good question, and it's not something we're going into massive detail in the feature, but it does cover it a little bit.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, like you said, safety is always probably the number one priority, but costs obviously right up there as well. And with all of these, airlines trying to eke out, increased efficiency, whether it's with the winglets on the end, the tips of the wings, or whether it's squeezing out a 1% efficiency gain in those engines. When you're burning very expensive aviation fuel and flying tens of thousands or millions of miles, obviously that all adds up to significant cost savings. So interesting. I can imagine that data will be incredibly valuable to not just the manufacturers, but also all of the airlines as well, the operators. Anyway, we're waxing on about aviation. Maybe it's because I haven't been on an airplane for so long, and I'm getting a bit misty-eyed about the days of EasyJet. But Catherine, let's bring us back down to earth, see what I did there. And there's also a feature that you wrote for Technology Magazine. So what's all this about?
Yeah, so I did a feature that looked into ageism in cybersecurity. Spoke to diversity specialist Henry Rose-Lee and Gernot Hacker from AppGate, which I thought was a very apt name for someone who's working in cybersecurity.
It's a brilliant name.
So Lee conducted research with AppGate into ageism, and the findings were something that I really wasn't expecting at all. So within cybersecurity, there's already quite a significant skills gap, and ageism, along with kind of gender diversity, is really contributing to this skills gap. Essentially, the old mentality really needs to be removed from the cybersecurity industry. There's kind of a preconception that baby boomers won't be as good at working in kind of more technical environments like cybersecurity, where actually the key and core skills that generation have are really essential when looking at stuff like problem solving and things like that, which is really important when kind of looking at ransomware attacks and things like that. Obviously, the younger generations have things that they can bring themselves. So essentially what is key to kind of closing this skills gap is creating a bit more dialogue and like forums for older generations and younger generations in the industry, so they can kind of learn from each other and problem solve together, rather than kind of separating the generations and kind of earmarking them because of their digital savviness. So it was really interesting. It's not kind of ageism is not really something I've looked at before, and even considered it as a kind an issue with a skills gap in different industries. So it was really, really good. Henry Rosalie does a lot around ageism and diversity within different industries. So she was really interesting to kind of learn from as well.
Yeah, that does sound really interesting. And I was just thinking about it as you were talking about it. And I suppose it does make sense because, like you mentioned, they're baby boomers. But the fact is, baby boomers are quite often the victims of these cyber attacks and ransomware and, identity theft and everything else. So it does make sense in the same way that people used to hire bank robbers to improve the security in banks. It makes perfect sense that we should be speaking to more of the potential victims of cybersecurity attacks. And, they're not just all 20-something urbanites sipping their soya lattes. It could well be somebody sat drinking their nice cup of tea, having got the bus into town. So interesting. I will take a very good look at that because ageism is an interesting topic and it's not one that we often talk about, certainly in technology anyway. Anyway, as you can tell, we've got so many great features in this March issue of Technology Magazine. So make sure you visit the websites for Technology and for AI Magazine as well, because you can find the magazines there. You can read all the features for free and watch all the video content as well. As you can see all of the interviews we've done with leading tech execs and with the hot topics that we've talked about today. But first, let's move on now and take a look at the results of the poll. Alex, I'm hoping, do you have the results to hand?
Ooh, let's have a look.
That'd be a no.
I'd love to, yes.
I don't have them either. Does anybody have the results? Can we have them posted into the comments section, please? Do you know what? We'll come back to that then. If somebody could post the results into the comments section, and we'll come back to that in a minute. But first, we'll move on, Kieran, if that's okay with you. And because, let's face it, this is the highlight of the show. Live from Norwich, it's tech that takes you back. Tech that takes you back. Still my favorite credits for the show that we've got here. All right, now who's going to go first? In fact, before we go first, I'll just remind the audience in case they joined us late or joined us from the future, just relating to the conversation we had earlier. Alex and Catherine are going to take it in turns to present to us an item of long forgotten technology, and they have to sell it to us, the audience, in terms of which one deserves to be called an absolute classic. So I'm going to, it's 1-1, the score in this tournament. I'm going to go to Alex first, I think, for this one. So Alex, I see you've got a video clip as well. So you've got a minute to sell to me your tech. Off you go.
Right. Well, we can all remember the old Game Gear, which was Sega's rival to the Game Boy, and my sister had a Game Boy which was black and white, and of course the Game Gear was in color, which was extraordinary. Now, the one thing that I didn't bank on when I bought it initially was that at some point that they would develop a TV tuner for the Game Gear, which you could plug into the back of the 8-bit console and watch really, really terrible quality television on your Game Gear. So I have memories of taking this camping and using, I think it used to take 4 AA batteries on each side, and the battery power would last about 40 minutes, and trying to watch Wimbledon while moving the TV antenna up and down. Trying to see a tiny tennis ball on a screen that small was virtually impossible, but it was nice to try anyway. So.
Okay, I love it, Alex. I love it. You've certainly tapped into to the zeitgeist, I think, and into my particular fancies when it comes to technology. I love that. My dad used to have a portable, what I'll only call it wasn't a ghetto blaster because that was far too radical, but it was a portable music player. It was a radio, it was a cassette, but it also had a tiny TV. And when I say tiny, I'm just doing this now. The screen on it was probably 3 inches from corner to corner. and it was black and white as well. And I do remember, like you, Alex, we had that on a camping trip at one stage, I'm sure, watching heaven knows what. So yeah, it's a really strong start, Alex. Catherine, I don't think you can beat this. Give it your best shot.
I know, I think from your reaction, I've already lost, but so I've gone for a cassette player. I can't remember what particular brand this one is, but yeah, that. And essentially, obviously, this is how people used to listen to music. It was one of the first portable things that people could kind of use that was small. I remember personally getting a pencil and rewinding my own cassettes to save battery, because I think my battery on my cassette player didn't last very long. So I just remember sitting for hours with pencils, kind of rewinding different audiobooks that I had. I just thought it was interesting because obviously now you can use your phone to play music, you can use your phone to find music. No one really even buys CDs anymore, so the cassette is pretty much obsolete, which is, I suppose, a shame, but the time moves on.
Time does move on indeed, Catherine. But sadly, while I'm a fan of the old cassette and tapes in general and analog formats, you're not beating the TV pack for the Game Gear, I'm afraid. And also, just a top tip. So Alex does win this one and takes a 2-1 lead. In future, Catherine, I'd say you need to be a bit more specific rather than going for a format. I mean, if you'd come to me with Betamax video, then that might have been a different thing. the humble audio cassette, yeah, I think you're going to have to try harder there, I'm afraid. So, unfortunately, Alex takes the lead, or fortunately, if you're Alex takes the lead on 2-1 in Tech to Take You Back. Thank you for that, guys. As Kieran said, the Walkman would have been a good one. Sony's pioneering personal cassette playing device that would have played a tape, of course. I also had a mini disc player. Anyone remember those mini discs?
Oh yeah. We all thought that was the future, didn't we?
That was the future. Okay, now we're going to go back to the LinkedIn poll result then, because slightly later than advertised, as they say, we do have the result of this, and I can tell you that. Well, Alex, remind me of the question first, and then I'll tell you what the great technology public have said.
Yes, well, the questions were, the question was, what is the main barrier to technology adoption in your company? Is it talent shortages, the right systems and procedures, enough time to train staff adequately, or not monitoring and maximizing the data?
Okay, and I can reveal that there was quite a strong winner here. So with 45% of the popular vote, the winner is the right systems and procedures. So 45% of you said that was the biggest barrier. And coming second, talent shortages with 27%. Now, that is something I think most organizations are facing right now. The so-called great resignation, but also people just reassessing their lives and what they want to do. And that's probably happening in tech as much as it is in any other industry as well. So lots of organizations are really struggling to find, the right people with the right skills, more importantly. So there is an opportunity there, maybe for those baby boomers you mentioned, Catherine, to reskill, to learn these cyber skills, learn the skills of the present and the future. So there you go. We've sort of brought it back full circle, haven't we? All right, we better move on because time is getting on as well. Now, earlier we did mention the top 100 women that we're publishing. So keep an eye out for that. That's going to be in about a week. And also, we are going to be hosting our live event this year back at Tobacco Dock in London. And the dates for your diary are the 23rd and the 24th of June. And that's for Technology and AI Live. And you'll see the world's leading CTOs, CISOs, and VPs of technology come together to discuss risk, resilience, and the future of their industries. This is a 2-day event taking place in London, as I said, so you can join us there in person, but you can also join as a virtual attendee as well. Now, here's a quick recap in case you didn't come along to our show last year. Here's some of the stuff that you missed.
Welcome to the inaugural Technology, AI and Cyber Live. Are you excited? A lot of
is going to get automated. A lot of people think that's a pipe dream. The world that armies fought in the past could be almost decomposed by a group of people.
They were using data scientists before data scientists were called data scientists.
I'm Lieutenant Colonel Aaron Salaya from the U.S. Space Force.
So there you go. I mean, it was a really great show, but I can guarantee that the next one is going to be even better, not least because, fingers crossed, we are going to be in a much better position in terms of emerging from the pandemic, because those events were still held while there were still travel restrictions and various other things in place. But if the sustainability show that we did recently is anything to go by, then I think you can expect a huge turnout for this tech show, which we are co-locating with a few of our other brands as well. So as well as tech and AI, there will be cyber, there is mobile and data center as well, all in one big juicy place. Okay, folks, well, that's all we've got time for this episode. We hope you've enjoyed the show, and make sure you tune in again in 2 weeks' time. Thank you for interacting with us and for watching and taking part in the poll. And remember, you can watch this show on demand as well. So you can go and watch it again, or you can share it with your colleagues and anyone interested in technology and AI, or indeed the Sega Game Gear. Thanks to Alex and Catherine, and to Kieran and the rest of the video production team, and to the marketing. This is all very much a team effort. It's a BizClik Media Group production, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.